Hi everyone, welcome to week 3. Week 3 you're going to be focused on a couple different tasks. You're going to be reading chapter 5 and 6. You're going to be focusing on quiz number 1, which we're going to go through. Now when you look at 5 and 6, 5 and 6 in your book is going to be dealing with a couple different things. Chapter 5 is resources and trade, the HO model. And in this chapter, you're going to be trying to understand the role of resources in trade and develop a model in which two goods are produced using two factors of production, basically labor and capital. Now the two goods differ in their factor intensity. You'll notice that some countries are more labor intensive, some countries are more capital intensive. It basically depends on their type of country that they can utilize and what resources they have available. Now, as long as a country produces both goods, there is a one-to-one relationship between the relative prices of goods and the relative prices of factors used to produce those goods. And when you have a rise in the price of one of them, that's going to shift where things are going to go. So if we look at labor and capital and they're the same price, if we have the rise in the price of labor, that's going to be more expensive, so we're going to invest more in capital, which is what we're looking at. And that shows it has a lot of intensity for this model. And it has a lot of development, a lot of legs, because a lot of things that we look at is going to be based on this. Chapter 6 is something totally different, just the standard trade model. Standard trade model based on export-based growth. And the standard trade model derives a world's relative supply curve from production possibility and a world relative demand curve from preferences. What do we want? What can we supply? From that PPF, what do we want and what can we demand from what our preferences are in that country? So those are the two chapters you're going to be looking at this week. Now let's go over what you're going to see on the quiz. This is going to be your first quiz that you've taken in the class. The quiz is going to be 10 multiple choice questions. And I'm going to go through each question to help with a review of what you might see. The first question you're going to look at, maybe a different order, you're going to be looking at production possibility frontier and indifference curves. And you want to always produce that where they're tangent to each other. Where the indifference curve is tangent to that production possibility curve. So basically, where are my preferences equal to the production that I can do? Now, question number 2. You're looking at immigration in the U.S. over the past century, and it's caused the percentage of immigrants in the U.S. population to do what? What really has changed with immigration? Question 3. In the two-factor, two-good HL model, what are the two countries differ in these two types of models? What do they differ in? Question 4. If a country produces good Y and good X, what's the absolute slope of these production possibility frontier? How do we measure? What's the slope of the production possibility frontier? Question 5. The HO model differs from the Ricardian model of comparative advantage in one specific factor. What's the one big difference? Question 6. The HO model predicts all of the following. So what are the factors that it assumes in the model? So in this question, I'm going to ask you what it assumes, but what? One thing it doesn't assume. Question 7. What does trade benefit? How does trade benefit a country? What do you look at with trade? What is a benefit to a country with trade? Question 8. An increase in a country's net commodity in terms of their terms of trade. Terms of trade is their prices of goods and services. So what is their increase in their terms of trade, in terms of their commodity? Question 9. If you have a large country in world trade, then if it is impossible to put a large set of tariffs on many of imports, what would happen to their terms of trade in that example? And the last question, what does an export subsidy do to the terms of trade? And will it hurt or harm the country? So in that question, you're going to be looking at 3 different parts. Now, when you take the quiz, you're going to have 40 minutes, 1 attempt, and it must be completed by Saturday night. So make sure when you start the quiz that you have to end it at that point. And if you have any questions, just let me know, but I look forward for another productive week.